Hello friends. Welcome to English Story Channel. Please don't forget to like our video and subscribe. Your support helps me write more stories and grow the channel. Thank you for being a part of English Story Channel. Let's learn English together. The Legend of Medusa. Part 1. The beautiful girl named Medusa. A long time ago in ancient Greece, there lived a young woman named Medusa. She was very beautiful. Her hair was long and golden like the sun, and her eyes were bright like the sea. Many people in her village admired her beauty and wanted to be near her. She was kind, gentle, and loved to visit the temple of the goddess Athena. Medusa worked there as a priestess. She cleaned the temple, helped visitors, and prayed every day. Medusa believed Athena was strong, wise, and fair, and she wanted to serve her for all her life. People came from far away to see Medusa. They said she was the most beautiful woman in all of Greece. But Medusa never thought too much about her looks. She was humble and kind. She cared more about doing good things for others. She liked to sit near the sea and watch the waves. The sea made her feel calm and happy. It was also a place where she felt close to the gods. One day, the sea god Poseidon saw Medusa near the temple. He was very powerful and proud. When he saw her golden hair and bright eyes, he wanted her for himself. Poseidon came out of the sea and spoke to her. He told her she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Medusa was frightened because he was a god, and she did not want to disrespect him. But she also did not want to make Athena angry, because she was in Athena's temple. She begged Poseidon to leave her alone, but he did not listen. Poseidon forced himself on Medusa in Athena's temple. It was a terrible moment for her. She cried and asked Athena for help, but no one came. The temple became silent again, but Medusa felt broken inside. She had done nothing wrong, yet she knew something bad would happen. The next morning, Athena appeared before her. The goddess was very angry. The temple was her sacred place, and it had been disrespected. Athena looked at Medusa with cold eyes. "You have brought shame to my temple," she said. Medusa fell to her knees and tried to explain, "Please, my goddess, I did not want this. Poseidon came to me. I tried to stop him." But Athena did not listen. Maybe she was angry at Poseidon but could not punish him because he was a god. Instead, she turned her anger toward Medusa, a mortal woman. Athena raised her hand and said, "From now on, your beauty will bring only fear. Your golden hair will turn into snakes. Your eyes will turn people into stone. You will never be beautiful again." Medusa screamed as her hair began to twist and hiss. Soft golden curls became long green snakes. Her face changed. Her eyes glowed with a terrible light. When she looked at her reflection in the temple wall, she saw a monster. Medusa cried and begged Athena to forgive her, but the goddess disappeared without a word. From that day, Medusa could no longer live among people. Everyone who looked at her turned to stone. She ran away to a dark cave, far from the city. She lived alone, hiding from the world. She remembered her old life, the temple, the sea, and her golden hair, and cried every night. She was no longer a beautiful priestess, she was a cursed monster. But even in her sadness, Medusa's heart stayed kind. She never wanted to hurt anyone. She only wanted to be left alone. Still, people told stories about her, scary stories. They said she was evil and dangerous. Many brave men wanted to kill her to prove their strength. None of them came back alive. Medusa's cave was full of statues, men who had looked into her eyes and turned to stone. But Medusa did not enjoy it. She hated the curse and wished she could be free again. Part 2. Perseus and the Mission. Many years passed after Medusa's curse. Far away, in another part of Greece, there lived a young man named Perseus. He was brave and strong. He was also the son of Zeus, the king of the gods, and a mortal woman named Danae. Perseus grew up hearing stories about great heroes who fought monsters and saved people. He always wanted to do something brave to make his mother proud. One day, Perseus and his mother lived on an island ruled by a king named Polydectes. The king wanted to marry Danae, but she did not love him. Perseus tried to protect his mother, but Polydectes was powerful and cruel. He wanted to get rid of Perseus. So, the king made a plan. He told Perseus, "If you are a true hero, bring me the head of Medusa, the monster who turns people into stone." The king thought Perseus would never return alive. Perseus accepted the challenge without fear. He said, "I will bring you Medusa's head." But inside, he was worried. He had never fought a monster before. He didn't even know where to find her. Still, he wanted to prove himself and protect his mother. Perseus prayed to the gods for help. The gods heard his prayer and decided to guide him. First, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, came to him. She gave him a shiny bronze shield that could reflect like a mirror. "Do not look at Medusa directly," she said. "Use this shield to see her reflection instead." Then, Hermes, the messenger god, appeared and gave him a sword made of steel so sharp that it could cut anything. Hermes also gave him winged sandals, so he could fly quickly and escape danger. With the gods' gifts, Perseus began his journey. He flew across mountains and seas, searching for Medusa's home. On his way, he met 3 old women called the Grey Sisters. They had only one eye and one tooth that they shared among them. They knew where the Gorgons lived, Medusa and her 2 immortal sisters. Perseus needed this information, so he cleverly took their eye and refused to give it back until they told him where Medusa's cave was. The sisters, frightened, finally told him. Perseus thanked them and returned their eye. Then he flew to the far edge of the world, where Medusa lived. The land was dark and quiet. There were no birds or animals, only stone statues of men who had tried to fight her. Perseus felt afraid but kept going. He remembered Athena's words, "Do not look at her eyes." He entered the cave slowly, holding his sword in one hand and the mirror-like shield in the other. The sound of snakes hissing filled the air. Medusa was sleeping on a rock. Her snake hair moved softly as she breathed. Perseus looked only at her reflection in the shield. He moved closer and closer, careful not to make a sound. When he was close enough, he raised his sword. The goddess Athena guided his hand. With one quick movement, he cut off Medusa's head. The snakes screamed and hissed, and a bright light filled the cave. From Medusa's blood came something amazing, a white-winged horse, Pegasus, and a warrior named Chrysaor. They were her children, born from her curse. They flew out of the cave and disappeared into the sky. Perseus carefully placed Medusa's head into a special bag that Athena had given him. He did not look at it. He felt sad and confused. Medusa had looked peaceful while sleeping. She didn't seem like an evil monster. Perseus wondered if she had really deserved her curse. But he remembered his mission and flew away using his winged sandals. On his way home, Perseus stopped in many places. Once, he met a giant sea monster attacking a princess named Andromeda. He used Medusa's head to turn the monster into stone and saved her life. Everyone praised him as a hero. But Perseus still thought about Medusa, the woman who had once been beautiful, then cursed, and finally killed. After many adventures, Perseus returned to the island of the cruel king Polydectes. The king laughed when he saw Perseus return. "So, you survived?" he said. Perseus answered calmly, "Yes, and I brought what you asked for." Then he pulled out Medusa's head and held it up. The king and his men looked at it, and instantly turned to stone. Perseus and his mother were finally free. He returned the gifts to the gods and gave Medusa's head to Athena, who placed it on her shield as a powerful symbol. From then on, Athena's shield was known as the Aegis, and it protected her in every battle. Part 3. The power of Medusa's head. Perseus now had the head of Medusa, a terrible but powerful thing. It could turn any living creature into stone with just one look. The young hero carried it in a special leather bag that Athena had given him. He did not want to hurt anyone by accident, so he kept it closed at all times. Even though he had killed Medusa, he did not feel proud. He often thought about her story. "She was once a woman like my mother," he said to himself. "Maybe she did not deserve her curse." As Perseus flew home with his winged sandals, he passed over many lands. People below saw him flying and thought he was a god. But Perseus knew he was just a man with the help of the gods. Sometimes, he felt lonely in the sky. The wind was cold, and the world below looked small. Then, one day, he heard someone crying for help. He flew down to see what was happening. By the sea, he saw a beautiful young woman tied to a rock. Waves crashed around her, and in the distance, a huge sea monster was coming closer. The woman's name was Andromeda. Her parents, the king and queen of Ethiopia, had made a mistake. The queen had said she was more beautiful than the sea nymphs, who were daughters of Poseidon. The sea god became angry and sent a monster to destroy their land. To save their people, the king had to give his daughter to the monster. Perseus felt sorry for Andromeda. "Do not be afraid," he said. "I will save you." The monster roared and came closer. Perseus quickly opened the bag just a little. He held out Medusa's head and pointed it at the monster. As soon as the monster saw it, it turned to stone and sank into the sea. The people watching from the shore were amazed. They shouted with joy and praised Perseus. After saving her, Perseus untied Andromeda. She thanked him with tears in her eyes. "You saved my life," she said softly. Perseus smiled and said, "It was not me. It was the power of Medusa's head." Still, he was happy to help. Later, he met Andromeda's parents, and they were very grateful. They invited him to stay in their palace, and soon Perseus and Andromeda fell in love. They were married, and the whole kingdom celebrated. But Perseus still had one more thing to do. He had to return to his island and face King Polydectes. He remembered the cruel man who had sent him on a mission to die. So, Perseus and Andromeda traveled back together. When they arrived, the king was having a great feast with his men. He laughed when he saw Perseus. "So, the boy returns," he said. "Do you bring me the monster's head?" Perseus stood tall and said, "Yes, I do. And you should see it for yourself." The king laughed again, thinking it was a joke. But when Perseus opened the bag and showed the head, everyone in the room turned to stone. The king, his guards, and all the guests. The room became silent, filled with statues. Perseus closed the bag and took his mother's hand. "You are free now, mother," he said. Danae hugged her son with tears of happiness. Perseus knew he could not keep Medusa's head forever. It was too dangerous. So, he went to the temple of Athena to return it. When he entered, Athena was waiting for him. She smiled gently and said, "You have done well, brave Perseus." Perseus placed the head on her altar and said, "Please, take it. It is not a gift for a man. It belongs to the gods." Athena took Medusa's head and placed it on her shield. From that day, her shield was called the Aegis. Whenever Athena went to battle, She used the shield to protect herself and frighten her enemies. No one dared to look directly at it. The head of Medusa became a powerful symbol, not just of fear, but also of wisdom and justice. Perseus and Andromeda then left the temple and went to live in a peaceful land. They had children and ruled kindly over their people. Perseus never forgot his journey and the lessons he learned. He learned that true strength was not only in the sword but also in the heart. Far away, Athena sometimes looked at Medusa's face on her shield. Perhaps she remembered the woman Medusa once was, beautiful, kind, and unfairly punished. The curse had turned her into a monster, but her power continued to live on, helping heroes and protecting the gods. Part 4: The Legacy of Medusa. Many years passed after the story of Perseus and Medusa. The gods returned to their temples, and people continued their lives. But the name of Medusa was never forgotten. Her story was told again and again, in villages, in schools, and in temples. Everyone knew about the woman whose hair became snakes and whose eyes could turn people into stone. Yet, not everyone told the story the same way. Some said she was a monster. Others said she was a woman who suffered unfairly. In some places, people feared her name. They said, "Medusa is dangerous. She can destroy everything." They painted her face on walls and doors to protect their homes from evil. They believed that her image would scare away bad spirits. Even though she was cursed, people began to use her picture as a symbol of protection. It was strange. Something that once caused fear now brought safety. In other stories, Medusa became a symbol of strength. Women told her story to show that beauty could be both a gift and a curse. Medusa was punished not because she was bad, but because she was beautiful and powerful. The gods, especially Athena and Poseidon, had more power than any human. Medusa was only a victim of their anger. This made her story sad, but also important. People began to see her not only as a monster, but also as a symbol of courage and justice. Long after Perseus died, heroes and travelers still talked about Medusa. When sailors faced storms at sea, they remembered her face, strong and unbroken. When women were treated unfairly, they said, "Medusa did not deserve her curse, and neither do we." In this way, her story gave people hope. It reminded them that even in pain, there could be power. The gods also remembered Medusa. Athena often looked at her shield, where Medusa's head still shone. Sometimes, she felt proud that she had made something so powerful. But sometimes, she felt sadness. She remembered that once Medusa had been her servant, a good and pure woman who had prayed to her every day. Maybe Athena knew, deep inside, that her punishment had been too harsh. Yet, the curse could not be undone. The past could not be changed. One night, Zeus looked down from Mount Olympus and saw the world of men. He saw statues, paintings, and temples that showed Medusa's face. He turned to Athena and said, "Your shield has become famous among mortals. They remember her because of you." Athena answered quietly, "Yes, Father, but they also remember the pain." Her story teaches them about justice and mercy. Zeus nodded. "Then let her name live forever," he said. Centuries later, artists began to carve Medusa's face on shields, coins, and buildings. Her image appeared everywhere, not to spread fear, but to show power and protection. Even in faraway lands, people knew her name. She became part of human history, not just a story from the gods. Some storytellers said that after her death, Medusa's spirit found peace. They said she flew in the night sky beside Pegasus, her child, watching over the world. When people looked at the stars, they could see the shape of the horse, and they remembered her. In this way, Medusa was no longer only a monster from a sad story. She became a guardian, a symbol of strength, beauty, and freedom. Perseus and Andromeda lived a long and happy life. Their children became kings and queens. They told their children about the brave deeds of their father and the lessons he learned. Perseus always said, "Power must be used with care. Even a monster can have a kind heart." His words passed through generations, teaching people not to judge others by their appearance. In time, Medusa's story changed from one of fear to one of understanding. People learned that sometimes those who look dangerous are the ones who have been hurt the most. Medusa's eyes could turn people to stone, but her story could also turn hearts to kindness. And so, the legend of Medusa lived on, not as a tale of evil, but as a reminder of strength, beauty, and the unfairness that even the gods could show. From temples to poems, from art to dreams, her name continued to echo through time. Medusa was no longer only the monster with snakes for hair, she became a part of every person who had ever been misunderstood or mistreated.